Hi there, my name is Tom Buxtwell, and I'm a game design student at NITH, and today I'm going to talk about sound. Ironically, the sound in this video isn't all that great, but bear with me. The importance of sound is much greater than you think. The visual is important in a video game, and having appealing graphics certainly help with immersion, but I'd argue that sound is a larger part of the immersion than the graphics are. An example of this would be the game To the Moon by Freebird Games. The game itself is made in RPG Maker XP and does not have stunning visuals, but it has an original soundtrack that greatly enhances every emotional moment in the game. To the Moon was given the #1 spot in GameSpot's Best Story category for their Best Games of 2011 piece. It was also the highest rated PC game by users in 2011 on Metacritic. Remember the Scary Maze game? The one where if you touched the sides of the maze, a scary face and the sound of someone screaming would pop up. That game would lose most of its impact without the scream. It would just be a picture that shows up when you fail, and it might coax a small reaction out of some players, but the true source of the jump scare is the sudden scream. If you're still questioning the importance of sound, watch this. There's a lot happening on screen, but let's see how much more intense this gets when you add sound.
Gang car coming up! Clear those ugly bitches out! Tell your friends, we're open all night! On it!
So, sound is important. Even the lack of sound is important, like in horror games. And the importance of sound design becomes even more apparent when dealing with multi-platform products. When designing the sound space of a video game, you need to consider many different factors to get the most bang for your buck. We already established that sound is important, but that also means you need to get the right sounds to build up your sound space. The right sounds all depend on the genre of the game, but it also depends on what platform the game will be running on. The sounds you hear in a horror game tend to be atmospheric, amplifying the frightening visuals. Their main goal is to draw the player in enough to make him scared for his character's life, and the way to do this is to play on human psychology. But the developers of a horror game can assume much more about the player's location and audio equipment when designing the sound space, which means they can use more advanced methods of sound design to scare the player. To illustrate my next point, listen to the sounds from Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which was released on the PC.
The key. Please, let it be here.
Now compare it with sounds from this mobile phone game. Completely different sound spaces. This isn't only because the games are different genres, but because the developers have to consider other factors when developing for the tablet. First of all, the built-in speakers for an iPad or a mobile phone are far from powerhouses, and if you are to make an ambient track with lots of subtleties, they will drown and turn into noise. It is dangerous to assume that people who will play your game on a mobile phone are going to use headphones, which would be necessary for this ambient track to have its full effect. People could also play your game on the bus and have the sounds muted. Once again, sound design is getting the most bang for your buck, and a very complex ambient track on a tablet is bad sound design. If you're designing a game towards the PC, Android phone, and Android tablets all together, the goal for your audio will be to be simple and clear. Even though a PC user will have better audio equipment and be in a better location to be immersed in your game, it is much easier to make a simple, clear sound space sound good on a PC than making a complex sound space sound good on a mobile phone. Building complex sounds also take away resources from the final product, and if there's a high chance the user will mute your game, these resources are best spent elsewhere. But wait, isn't sound important? Sound remains important even in mobile phone and tablet games. It is, however, less important than in a horror game. First of all, people expect sounds from games, and a game that doesn't have that upon release might be thought of as unfinished. Second of all, sounds are a part of giving the proper audio feedback to the player, which make them enjoy the game more. The sounds in Angry Birds are quirky and fun, and they help give the player feedback as the little birds bounce around and crash into things. You may mute the game and still enjoy it, but the cheering of the birds and the drum roll when you complete a level help make the player enjoy the game as a whole. This is just my personal opinion, but along with a strong visual style, the quirkiness of the birds' sound are part of what has cemented these Angry Birds as characters worth recognizing. They're simply fun to listen to. So, different genres demand different soundscapes, but different platforms also demand different soundscapes. How do you know if your sound design is effective? Well, that depends. What are your goals with the sounds? Having a sense of direction in anything is positive, so knowing what you want out of your soundscape will help you establish when you've succeeded. Want to make the player feel creeped out? Work towards this with every soundbite. The easiest way, in my opinion, to build a strong audioscape is to figure out what sounds are essential for player enjoyment. What is necessary for the players to hear? Once these sounds have been implemented, you can begin to find techniques and other sounds that will amplify the effectiveness of your basic sounds. Divide the soundscape into different layers, essentials and enhancers. That way, if you find your soundscape is too complex for your iPad plant growing game, try playing around with your enhancers, or even remove them completely. Once you've gotten the right sounds, you will proceed to the integral part, testing. Sometimes, testers will not think of mentioning sound, so you might have to prod them further about the creepy noises in your game. So, to sum up this video, sound is important in video games. Different genres and platforms demand different sounds. For mobile phones and tablets, design with a simple approach, and design sounds with goals and a direction, and make sure to test them. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon.